I am hosting today, and I'm hosting alone. But luckily, I'm not alone on set. I'll tell you why later. Yes, the usual, our usual viewers will know exactly how we do it, but still, etiquette demands that I repeat it. First, we're going to have the African proverb, you know, the thought for the day. Just think of it as thought for the day. We're going to go through that, and then afterwards we'll have the newspaper review. There, I'm going to have, just as I said earlier, I'm not alone in the studio. I've got Adedarami, QTV News Editor-in-Chief. And then we move on to our social issues, the important stuff that we talk about daily. Gambia hosts African Caucus 2026. What does that mean? Well, we'll have here Lang Loom, who is the Deputy Permanent Secretary, Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, and Mbailo, Senior Economist, Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs. They will tell us all about it. And then our final segment, National Career Fest. Another question, Career Fest? Well, yes, there'll be Yasin Sanya, Director Education Support and Workforce Development, to help us understand that. And Aissatou Ceesay, Intern TET Fund. That's what we have for you today. Now I welcome my newspaper reviewer today, and we'll go through more than that.
Well, indeed.
Yes, today's a senior citizen taking charge.
It really is, the dynamic duo.
Absolutely.
Always a pleasure to be here. Thank you. Yes.
Cheers.
Shall I read or will you?
Go on.
Okay, so
proverb,
today's African proverb, as you said, let's think of it as the thought for the day. It says, the ruins of a nation begin in the homes of its people. The ruins of a nation begin in the homes of its people.
Yes.
Samboj, what say you to that?
And we all really know that, because it is often said that the family is the foundational unit of a society.
This is it.
It all begins there and really ends there. When I have a leader or whatever, we say, oh, this person, oh, these people, officials, government, they're also corrupt and all of it. Well, I better be careful that I'm not like that. They just didn't fall from Mars.
They are us.
They are us.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you rightly say, I mean, because for many people, before you even go to school, you would have been taught certain things at home, whether there are values, certain things that, do this, don't do that, don't lie to your parents, don't lie to anybody, don't steal, don't cheat. You learn all of that at home before you even go to kindergarten, before you even go to school, secondary school, primary school, university. So the home has actually nurtured you and prepared you. And some of what you see in the home, you might actually take into later life, including, some of the things, as you said, we say, oh, this person is corrupt, or this person stole, and this person that. And you think, did they see that? Did they learn it at a young age? And think, oh, that's the way to do things, to cheat at exams and so on, and different things. So very much, this one speaks to the society we're in, really, because as you rightly say, we are very quick to condemn people, but we had the quote the other day about the eye and the reflection, and we talked about self-reflection. Well, look at yourself in the mirror and say, have I done something? It might not be as society damaging as what that person has done. But have I done something corrupt? Have I bribed to get a service that I should have expected to be delivered, because I wanted it speeded up or because I wanted to cut corners? I remember at the time of COVID-19, when the madness had kind of taken over the whole world, and people had to get the vaccination before they could travel. And people routinely told me, oh, I just paid and they gave me the certificate. I didn't get any jab because I'm scared of needles, because I don't know what's in the thing. They gave all sorts of excuses. But they were quite open about, and they didn't think that was bad or corrupt because it suited them. And so, you think, well, where did you pick up that kind of habit or attitude and that sort of thinking? Yeah.
And even with licenses, I don't need to go anywhere, you see how these decisions really, they do in the end ruin a nation.
Yeah.
You have that institutional dysfunction, what you're supposed to do, you're not doing it. So in the end, you keep on, failing in all sorts of things. And then that will have consequences on livelihoods, lives, quality of life, and that sort of thing.
All sorts of things. And you've actually said an interesting thing there, because if you think about licenses, if everybody is in their little corner doing something dodgy to get a license, whether it's a driving license or something else, look at the death toll on our roads. A lot of that is down to people who are effectively unlicensed drivers who have a license. Why? Because people, again, in the office were quite open by saying, I'd never sat behind the wheel of a car and I got a driving license landed in my lap. And they thought nothing of it. And so all of these things add up to why the whole society is dysfunctional and why it doesn't work. So it's not just that the one that you can see or that people scream about loudest is the one that's affecting. Look at ourselves. What have we done to contribute to that? Yeah.
Especially when you're younger, because actually the world of the science of psychology actually confirms this. Your formative years.
Yeah.
I mean, Freud said actually after five, really, essentially the basic nature of the human being is formed.
Yep.
Now what you do is simply evolve as that. That confirms it. And here, look at recently what Justice Ibrahim Ajite has been saying, the recent spate of knife-related violence attacks, that over petty dispute, then somebody will just run, grab a weapon of some sort, knife, and come and stab you. It's extraordinary. Petty stuff.
Yeah, well, this is it. And since, and I mentioned the death toll on our roads, the number of times I've seen people come to blows because they crashed into each other, because nobody wanted to give way. And even this morning when I was coming, the way people were speeding, obviously they're speeding because either they want to get somewhere and they think they're going to be late or whatever the reason. And that also contributes. But the number of times you've seen people and you think, how did these two cars end up face to face? And then the people jump out and start slinging blows at each other. It's this kind of pent up anger which people seem to just let out every time they get behind the wheel of a car. They become absolute maniacs. And the violence that is there. So it's there, it's latent. And yet, if you ask many Gambians, they think we're calm, we're cool, we're not expressive people, we're not people who are given to. And yet, as I said, the anger that you see in there, and even, the statistics, we might get to that because there's a newspaper story around the whole knife crime thing. But, this is all, when you hear the court cases, two friends fought over, some minor thing or a minor amount of money, and yet one ended up stabbing the other. It's total ridiculous stuff. Insane.
What we say about ourselves and what we do, let me use Julia's term, cognitive dissonance.
Yes,
extraordinary, all over the place.
Yeah,
we say so much things about how calm we are, the smiling person, all of it. But really what's going on? Of course, if you sort of want to consider crime statistics, the bigger picture compared to, I don't know, the region, within the region, fine. The big picture tells you that you're not bad. That sort of thing. But we are also seeing the micro changes within. So if you're not alert, then sooner or later you will end up bad. This is why we should talk about it. And when people they sound complacent, don't they? When they say, but when you look at the statistics, we are this, we are that, but we are like within, we can see the gradations, we can see the change, sooner or later you end up bad.
And this is it, and sometimes it's the slippery slope is quite gradual. So I'll just tell you, 2 weeks after I came to the Gambia, I engaged a taxi driver a couple of times. And I said to him, look, let me take your number because I might, want to engage you until I get my car. And he picked me up once. I went to pick up some money from Western Union at Senegambia. Took me to where I was staying at Coastal Road, not far from where I'm living now. And then as I got in, I realized that I'd left my phone on the dashboard whilst I was writing something. And so I called him to say, look, I left my phone in your car. Can you bring it back? He said, no, 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 you didn't. So my landlord just mouthed to me, keep him talking. I said, no. I said, I definitely left it there. I said, you remember when there was another passenger who came and she asked for some details and I was writing the details down in my notebook. I tore out a page and I gave it to her. I said, that was when I put the phone down. So whilst I was saying that, my landlord rang my number. And of course, it rang in the car. I said, that's my number. I know my ringtone. Yeah. I said, you better bring it now or I'll have you arrested. And he lost a customer. What are you going to do with my rubbish phone? Sell it for $50?
Absolutely.
That was nonsense, you know, dishonesty. That was how quickly he slipped into dishonesty. He saw an opportunity. At the time, there was a new phone, but it wasn't a fantastic, wasn't an iPhone or anything like that. But, you know, just, come on. And of course, he brought it back within 5 minutes. You know, and that kind of dishonesty, it shows you how, if that was an honest person who'd been brought up to be honest and so on, they would say, yeah, yeah, you left your phone, I'll bring it back. Don't tell me, oh, it's not here. You know, then I ring and somebody else rings my number and I hear my ringtone in your car. You know, please.
So really, so now, in the end, your key takeaway from this proverb, the ruins of a nation begin in the homes of its people, for us, and how we bring up our children.
Very much what I thought of when I read this, you know, how we bring up our children, you know, the things which I always say, I actually use the term indoctrinate good habits, inculcate good habits in your children. And yes, don't do one thing and say another thing, because they'll see you as a hypocrite, but also if they see you getting away with it, they'll start copying those things. So as parents, how we bring up our children will definitely affect, because sometimes we don't think it. You just think, oh, I'm only doing this in front of my child. But if 100 or 1,000 parents are doing the same wrong things in front of those are the people who will inherit the society, and they will all inherit the society having learned those terrible habits.
That's it. And I've taken a kind of political angle. The reason why we're talking about our societies, our politics, corrupt and all of these things, we cannot develop the most basic services, we are struggling, all of these things happening to our country. The reason why these things are happening, is because of the way we are.
Yeah, go ahead.
We are these institutions in many ways. We are what we condemn, as it were. So when I say that, oh, these government people or these officials, we scapegoat. It's easy to just scapegoat people. Whenever I say that, I have to go and look in the mirror and say, ooh, I hope I'm not like that.
But this is it. And again, an example. I was speaking to a chap who, again, I'd been here about 6 months. We went to his house and, you know, he is the person who I'm sure if you were to say to him, oh, you know, physical planning people are corrupt. The day we were there, somebody came to his house from physical planning and he gave them literally a brown envelope stuffed full of money because he wanted them to do something that he knew. Hey, look, if it wasn't dodgy, you wouldn't need to invite them to your house to give them the money. You'd go and you'd go through the proper procedure. And, you know, I'm sure that's the kind of person who sits with friends and said, oh, these people at physical planning, they're corrupt. Well, you're part of corrupting them, you know, but he probably didn't even see that in himself. You know, and, you know, as we were leaving, I was like, I said, did that guy know I'm a journalist? I said, I could have written a story about this. You know, and, you know, we kind of laughed at it, but it wasn't funny. You know, it wasn't funny because it said something about how casual and how brazen it was that he was willing to do this in front of me and didn't give a damn, you know.
That's it.
So, yeah, so teach your children well, teach them good things, good habits. And I have to emphasize and re-emphasize, don't say one thing and do another, because that really is not sending the right message. If you say you should be like this, you should be like that, you know, nobody's perfect, you know, but, you know, I used to feel terrible if my parents found out I'd done something, because I knew that if they asked me, I would have to tell them that I had done something wrong, because that was how they had brought us up. You know, just the fear. It sounds ridiculous, but just that kind of embarrassment of, oh, I'm going to lie to my mother or my father would stop me, you know. And you know, sometimes, of course, you got into trouble and you got disciplined, you got suspended from going to the cinema or football that weekend because you'd confessed to something. Well, if you'd kept your mouth shut and said or lied about it, you wouldn't. So you knew there were consequences, but you still told the truth because that was what they had said. Don't lie to us, you know. So yeah, please, parents.
That's it. And
Yeah.
I'm saying there that nobody is perfect. Actually, ethics doesn't require perfection.
True.
It doesn't ask perfection of anybody.
Indeed.
Just be honest.
Yeah.
That's all ethics ask
Yeah.
of people,
That's it.
not perfectioners.
Yeah, quite.
Really. So now what have we got here? It seems, Adam, history has found us out.
Well, indeed.
Of course, in our journey towards independence, truly, it was always a journey, really. It was always a project.
Indeed,
But
indeed.
We started in '65. So all of this is going on. We all understand the external pressures.
Yeah.
We all understand that at independence we had this economy that was so tied to the West,
Yeah.
and we were
quite.
serving
Just
a certain
kind of-
role.
Yeah.
Everybody can understand that.
Yeah.
But what have we been doing
This is
with
it.
the little room
Yeah.
that I have to navigate, to maneuver? What have we been doing? We've really disappointed ourselves.
We
All the nationalism of independence
Yeah.
collapsed
Yeah,
into
yeah.
kleptocracy, and this is what is going on now. The society is like that.
Yeah.
The ruins, we are seeing it exactly.
Very much so. I wrote an article once, and I described it in that article as the broken dreams of the independence dreamers. Those people who dreamt and dared to say, we will get our independence. A lot of them had ambition. A lot of them had vision. And they had, you know, bold dreams. Look, if people did not dream and think big, the Gambia would not even exist as a country. And people tend to forget that because geographically and economically, there is no way Gambia should exist on its own rather than be subsumed within the country which has it in a geographical embrace, Senegal. But yet it did. It took daring and those people dared to dream. And here we are. But since then, what have we done? Have we moved the needle? You know, what have we done? You know, have we had people with bold vision and so on? The countries we admire is because they had people with bold vision who tried to deliver on that vision or delivered on it. That's why we admire them. You know, well, we shouldn't just admire them, let's emulate them. And that's the challenge. That is the challenge.
Was it yesterday? You were telling me about ECOWAS
Yes.
wanting us to adopt some African values.
African family values.
African family
They had a
values.
meeting. They had a meeting in
Fascinating
Accra, Ghana, and several of them put forward this proposal saying that if we adopt this, we will then give it to our heads of state, and they will try and get it promulgated through their parliaments and their national assemblies. African values. There was absolute uproar by activists who were observing it and were outside. They said, "Stuff you and your there's no such thing. There's no, you know, there's not kind of some homogenous thing that is an African family. So don't give us that nonsense about." And they ripped it to shreds. They said, "No, this is not happening. You know, we're not having this. You know, you have your whatever, and don't impose African values on all of ECOWAS. We can't even impose movement of people, let alone something that is personal. You know, and they said, you know, every family is different. Why should be a kind of broad brush thing that defines what an African family is or what African values are? And they said, no, we're not having that, and it's gone into the dustbin, thankfully. Yeah, but they tried. They tried, and you know, this because I think 10 of the attendees from 10 of the countries actually proposed this. I think there were 14 attendees there from different countries, and people were like, no, we're not having this. This should not go through, and if it does, we will rise up against it. You know, and straight away people started advocating. Actually went to the venue and started demonstrating, and said, no, there's no such thing, and there isn't really. There isn't. Let's not.
It's extraordinary.
Yeah.
Because just allow them to tell you what these values are.
Yeah.
Do we see these values at play?
Yeah. Go on.
How do they play out?
Oh, this is
if
it.
we genuinely believed in these values, and there's a second point, are we actuated in our actions by our beliefs, or there are other unconscious drives. The
Yeah,
world
yeah.
of psychology
Yeah,
comes
yeah,
in.
yeah, quite.
So really, Adam, if you go by our beliefs, and I take this country as well, we say what? We are 90%, 95%
Yes, 95%.
Muslims and
Yeah.
stuff like that. If we followed really the
strict
scriptures,
tenets
honest
of
to
our-
God,
yeah, quite.
then most of the problems we're talking about would just simply disappear.
Is
So
that-
it is this dissonance
Yeah, quite.
between
Because
what I say I am
yeah,
and what I do.
you have
It's
a
an
religion that
extraordinary
says
space.
do not be dishonest, do not be corrupt,
Mhm.
and yet you might pray 5 times a day,
Yes,
and yet you're doing
exactly.
dodgy
you
stuff.
go to Mecca, you do the 5
So
stuff,
who-
the
yeah.
ritualistic stuff,
Yeah.
but the more important, in fact, I heard jihad is an
Internal, yeah.
sort of struggle, as it
Yeah,
were.
yeah.
But that doesn't exist. So there's a kind of lack of self-awareness.
This is it, yeah.
So as long as I do what people can see,
Yeah.
it's very performative.
That's right.
When religion becomes performative,
Then
merely.
yes, exactly.
Extraordinary.
Or as
situation.
I keep saying, my Jamaican friends will say, for the eye seeing of men.
Yes, yes,
You know.
just people to see me and
See
that's
me
it.
doing these things rather than actually living up to it.
Rather than living it, you
Up
have
to
to
it.
live what you believe. So that's really what the issue is.
It's a big issue. It's a big
Yes.
issue.
Anyway, nobody said anything to me, but I think we've sort of had enough of
We've
this.
probably exhausted
African,
this. Are we going for a break before we get the
Let's
newspapers?
go for the news. Well, Senegal lost. I think
Yeah.
that must be a headline news.
That's a big,
Anywhere
that's
in
the
the
big
world.
news.
2-0, 85 minutes, 5 minutes to go, and what was going to be added, and then you mismanage a win. This is the World Cup.
Totally mismanaged the win rather. And for those people who were milling outside the QCell building on Kairaba Avenue, nobody knew there were so many Belgians in Gambia. Apparently they were celebrating the Belgian win, but you're right, it was bad game management, as we used to call it
Yeah.
back in the day. When I played, you see out the game,
Yeah.
not by inviting the opponent, but you kind of take it, because the guys in the office will tell you that after what had happened with DR Congo against, I said, these African teams, they take you to the edge of the kind of expectation, and then their game management lets you down, and they make lots of childish mistakes, silly mistakes. And yeah, when you and I were discussing this, I said, if that was a team like, if Belgium were, if the roles had been
flipped.
reversed,
Exactly, yeah.
Belgium would have kicked the ball out into Rosette at every opportunity.
Absolutely.
No fancy playing around in your own penalty area. The ball wouldn't even come in their penalty area. That's what you do, because people have to be close to your goal to score. The further away you can keep them, that's not rocket science. But they haven't seemed to do it, and somebody has been posting something that's gone viral this morning saying, the black African teams have all bottled it. So, we're pinning our hopes on Ghana and Cape Verde to...
Let's see what happens next.
let's
So,
see what
so
happens
far,
next.
it's only Morocco that's gone on to the round of 16, but we'll go into the round of
That's right,
16.
yeah. So, still to play Algeria, Egypt, Cape Verde, Ghana. So there's still some African teams left in, but they all have tough ties ahead.
Nice.
So Ghana play Colombia. Colombia are not the Colombia of Valderrama and those days.
Exactly, yeah.
But nonetheless, they're a wily team, quite experienced, and they got some good players. And of course, they still have James Rodriguez, who everybody thought would not even make this World Cup, and yet he's had some very good games. They're number 10, kind of very much the icon of Colombian football. So yeah, that was a big thing. Senegal lost, and it was a game that apparently millions watched around the world. I think people wanted to see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I watched it after Belgium equalized. I just left because you could see it. Because
Yeah.
before then we were thinking, Coach, how do you manage this? Should, for instance, Sadio Mane have been taken off?
Yeah, quite.
85 minutes, bring younger people, push,
Bring
as
some-
it were, Ghana game, getting on in age.
Yeah,
Should the change have been made earlier? We didn't know, but one could sense that, I'm not so sure about this.
Yeah.
You have to think on your feet.
Absolutely.
That's why coaching is really difficult.
And you have to be bold.
You have to think on your feet, and
You
you
have
have
to
to
be
be bold.
You're
You're going to have courage.
remember the previous World Cup when Louis van Gaal, at the penalty shootout, took out the goalkeeper who had played the whole game
Yes,
and brought on
I remember that.
a goalkeeper who then saved 2 penalties.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to be,
I
and that
remember
was,
that.
nobody's ever done that before.
Yeah.
And that was bold. That was really bold.
Anyway, so we'll see
Yeah.
what happens next.
Indeed,
The
indeed.
newspapers, what are the
Yeah,
headlines? I haven't got
it's-
my phone with me.
Well, I have mine, and so let's go to the point. Political parties condemn use of force against NDP's Keba Madi. This one has made all the
Oh
newspapers.
yes, Keba Mari Bojang.
Yes. And then another Standard has NDP leader alleges plot to deport Rainey. I'm not sure who Rainey is.
I think that's Mohammed Rainey.
Okay, right.
He's the one
There's a
apparently
photograph.
Keba Madi.
Right.
They've bought vehicles,
Right.
14 vehicles, you know, for
Right.
the campaigns and the stuff. And apparently
There's a
Mohammed
picture of
Rainey,
the
yes,
Right.
was the sponsor.
Right.
So
Right.
then afterwards, GID, Gambia Immigration Department, apparently, we've seen the videos.
Right. Right.
They went over to the house and arrested the man.
And the man, yeah. Right. Yes.
And what I heard, what I've read, is that because of for counterfeiting
Right.
offences,
Right.
one, and
Okay.
status, whatever. This is what they've said.
Yeah.
And then they took him in, but released him on bail.
Right. Right.
I spoke to the GID. I wanted to interview them, but they said they were doing an investigation into it
Yeah. Quite.
to see what happened.
Yeah.
This sort of thing is, we should be very watchful of this. It's very worrying. One doesn't want state institutions being weaponized.
Yeah, quite.
There is that danger. May not necessarily work here, but
Yeah,
there is
quite.
that danger.
Quite.
So we'll follow this.
Yeah.
Why was this person arrested?
Well, indeed.
What
indeed.
was the justification? What facts did they rely on to go and do that?
Well, that's right.
So
That's
we'll be
right.
asking the questions.
So they've got a range of the heads of various political parties. You've got Dabo, you've got SFL, you've got Talib Bensouda, among others, all there saying that they condemn the use of force against Keba Madi. So that would be an interesting one to watch. So that's on
See,
the
but
point.
this is
so-
we were talking about something like this earlier. Our, I don't know, Trump is doing it now. Our politics. So you have people who man these institutions, but they feel that they are loyal
Yeah.
to the current government. They're not loyal to the state.
And
You have no idea what a state is possibly.
This is
But again, you owe your appointment to the current government.
Yeah.
So we are compromising the state for short-term governmental gains.
That's it.
But in the longer term, your country will lose.
And that's the argument, interestingly, that's developing in Senegal. So they want to do away with the 7-member Constitution Court and appoint one chosen by the National Assembly. Now it's fine where currently you have 135 out of 165 seats. But what the opposition is saying, well, you will end up doing things that if you find yourself in opposition, you will regret, including the way you want to emasculate the president. If you then have a president who presides over a chamber which is full of the opposition and they can thwart everything he or she does, you won't like it. So don't do these
Absolutely.
things for
Absolutely.
political expediency and
Absolutely.
revenge.
Must be principle.
It has to be based on
See,
principle.
if it is principle,
Yeah.
sooner or later you might rely on that to save you.
Yeah, sure.
But if it is just your narrow interest today,
Yeah.
tomorrow things will turn.
Yeah.
And then it will come and bite you.
That's it.
I spoke here to a government minister. We were talking about law and justice.
Mm-hmm.
The person said to me, law is law, you got to follow it. I said, well, if you were living in apartheid South Africa, would you follow the law?
Yeah.
There is law and there's justice.
Justice,
When
yeah.
a law is not just,
Yeah.
then you are morally obliged to disobey it.
Yes, yes,
That's
yes.
where disobedience
Yeah,
becomes a
absolutely.
thing to
No,
do.
and that's a good
So this is
analogy,
it.
yeah.
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 So I wonder, that person, I hope sooner or later he wouldn't find himself in a situation where he wants justice,
Yes.
because people will remind him, remember,
Yeah.
law is law.
Well, let me tell you about 5 years ago, a guy called Paulo Conte, who had been a minister for the armed forces. He's a former captain in the army, Sierra Leone army. They made him armed forces minister. And he took the media to Pademba Road prison and said that because there'd been a moratorium on the death penalty, that he was going to ask for it to be brought back. And he took the media there and they showed how the gallows worked. And he posed next to the gallows. 3 years later, when he was in opposition, he went to State House to meet President Bio, and he had a concealed weapon on him. He was charged and found guilty of treason. For treason, still, it's the death penalty. And people said, how ironic.
Absolutely.
You wanted this brought back, now face the very thing that you said. And of course, people appealed on his behalf and it was commuted. And in fact, eventually he was released. But be careful what you wish for.
What you wish for. Be careful what you wish for.
And he was the perfect example of that.
Absolutely.
Paolo Conte. Yeah. So
next story.
yeah. So others. There was an extraordinary press conference yesterday, an emergency press conference to address concerns about crime.
Yeah.
And so there are two things from the Standard from it. Is it from the Standard? Well, yeah. I mean, you had the IGP. Saying, the Point newspaper. So IGP Toure claims a crime rate declines despite recent murders. So this is the thing we've had discussions about.
We discussed it.
It's
yes.
being discussed more and more. Social media amplifies these things, and so it seems as if there are more and more of them. But the numbers don't tell that. The numbers simply do not support that. It's just that every time there's one, the fact that you can even remember that one tells you that if there were 100, you wouldn't be able to remember 100. Yeah. And so people at the press conference were saying, is it time to reintroduce the death penalty? So there's another story, and this is Dr. Ismaila Cisse saying that there is no empirical evidence that the death penalty curbs crime. We know that in America, they kill people every day. In China, they kill people every day. It doesn't stop anything. It never has and never will. If somebody's having an argument with somebody and they brandish a knife, they don't think, if I stab this guy, am I going to face the death? That doesn't come, because a lot of the time it's in the heat of the moment, and in that anger which comes upon you. You don't stop and ponder, my country has the death penalty, I better not go ahead with this. There's no country that can say, yeah.
So that appeal to sort of for us to have stiffer penalties, punishments,
including the ultimate
that's
one.
Sort of, it's just a reflex.
It is
a reflex
because
action.
People get.
There's no thought behind it. It doesn't work.
It doesn't.
Like that.
People get swept along with, oh, this is terrible. But if we started killing a few people, that would make them stop. And they point to the fact that during the Jammeh, up to that time when there were still hangings, we didn't have social media to amplify every murder as we do now. But I went through some of the cases that we've covered and some of the cases that the courts have covered here. And in, I think, about 10 of the most recent murder cases, I think 5 of them were by somebody who knew the person that they had killed. And those statistics in some countries are even higher in terms of the number of people being killed by people who are acquaintances. So that's
And that conforms to what we know globally.
Yeah, globally.
Most murders happen between people who know one another really.
That's right.
So rarely would you have a complete stranger just come and murder you.
The exceptions they gave are South Africa, where there's a lot of gang-related
stuff.
Violence, where people go around in gangs and rob and kill people, and they're like at the top of the league. And I'm sure they're not being committed by illegal immigrants, but hey, that's another story. That's that one. And then on Foroya, Agriculture Minister says major farming projects are on track. I think he was addressing the Assembly, and that's Foroya.
It's a matter of going into the details to know what are the major farming projects.
This is it, and exactly, and also related to him, when he was giving his statement, there was a story the day before that some farmers in North Bank region had said they had not been paid. And he says, government considering plans to compensate unpaid groundnut farmers in North Bank region. So that might be, and then
Now, that's an interesting one. I wonder if that is the same story as the SECO president.
Yes,
who didn't
that's what it is.
But
Yes.
again, government had said that they had given all
the money. Yeah, so
to the
yes,
SECO presidents
quite.
for them to pay.
Quite.
So
quite.
apparently, wasn't he arrested?
Yes.
The SECO president,
yes, he was arrested.
Was taken in.
Was arrested.
So what does this mean that government has decided to compensate
if it's the same case?
If it's the same case,
if it's the
that's
same case.
So,
Yes.
but it was said that they had given all the money.
That's right.
As
That's right.
far as I understand things.
That's right.
It was said that all the money was given.
Yeah.
So what does this mean that now they will compensate those?
Well, this is it. And if
we'll get the details.
We'll get
call
the
them
detail, and
we'll get the details.
if they retrieve it from the SECO president who is alleged to have,
exactly.
Maybe then they will repay government. And
Maybe.
can I just quickly, if we have time, IEC registered Unite and the All-Inclusive Party as political parties. They got their registration yesterday.
All right.
So the conspiracy to deny them has obviously failed, and they are now a registered political party, particularly UMC, who would
Let the
making
games
a lot
begin.
of noise. Indeed.
Thank you very much, and we've come to the end of this segment.
Thank you.
The directors keep on shouting in my ear. We've come to the end. Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ade.
I'm off to the IEC, which is why I just mentioned them. They've got a kind of gathering of the media about what to expect for the upcoming election.
Absolutely. We'll cover that during our drive time. Q Radio, 5 o'clock.
Indeed.
Cheers.
Okay.
So we're going to go for a short break, and then when we return, we're going to talk about what the African Caucus, Gambia is going to host this one, 2026. What does that mean? We'll have Lang Loom and Bailo to explain.
Good morning, this is QTV. This morning I am Ibrahim Abalde, and of course, Mr. Momodu Mboj here.
Yes,
my people started the program.
Is that you?
Yes.
I wonder why.
Yes, I was on traffic. I couldn't make it on time.
Oh, blaming traffic now.
But
blaming traffic.
But you see, it's telling me you people did it and you handled it well. So thank you very much. It's good to be here. Now let's move on to the other segment of this program. Gambia host African Caucus 2026. We have Lang Loom, Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy. And of course, Mbailo, Senior Economist, Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs. Gentlemen, it's good to have you on this program.
Thank you.
By the way, I don't know which one, how to balance it. Your suit is good and his halftime is amazing.
Thank you.
You
Thank
know?
you.
Yeah, so it's good to have you. We want to understand what is African Caucus. Mm-hmm. Who can delve into that? Is it Milo?
Yeah, and thank you for the invitation, and it's good to be here to discuss on the upcoming event, that is the 2026 African Caucus. So the African Caucus is basically a high-level meeting that is normally conducted in every year between the World Bank and the IMF team, that is the Brentwood Institute, which was established in 1963. So the Gambia will be the host this year of this year's African Caucus. The Honorable Minister of Finance by default, because in every year we have rotational, because the last African Caucus was conducted in Central African Republic, and this year we assumed the chairmanship, and the Minister of Finance, Honorable Sidi Keita, who is the governor of the IMF and the World Bank Group, is the chairman of this year's African Caucus. So the African Caucus is basically at high-level meetings converging 54 African states, that is the African countries. They have finance ministers and the World Bank, the finance ministers and the central bank governors. So in each country you will have a governor. Normally, mostly is the Minister of Finance, who will be the governor of the IMF and World Bank Group. And you also have the alternate governors, which the central bank governors also assume. This year we are converging, all the ministers of finance and central bank governors of all the 54 states of in Africa, plus Haiti. Haiti is an advisor to the African to the AU. So Haiti will be part of the caucus. So beyond having the African governors and that is the African governors of the IMF and the World Bank Group, we will be also having development partners. the president of the African Development Bank will attend the African caucus. The president of ECOWAS will attend the African caucus, and also key members from the private sector. So here, the private sector, we are not just limiting to the Gambia, but it's beyond Gambia. In Africa, we are expecting to have a key delegate that is Dangote, who will be attending in the private sector. Yeah, he will attend in the African caucus, and other development partners from different areas.
Okay.
Those from the academy, from the
So
academics and
what
everything.
are you telling me? I mean, this event, it's more, it's a high platform for financial institutions. I mean, you're telling me the central bank governor is involved, the minister of finance is involved. I just want to understand, is it that kind of a convergence?
Yes, the convergence has that. The convergence has that part that is financial, but it's beyond finance, because one, you are converging members of the private sector, because it's cross-cutting. The members of the private sectors are also will be available, right? Those in the academics and others, because the purpose of having an African caucus is trying to bring all the central bank governors, right, and the minister of finance to converge in one platform, right? Discuss on important matters of Africa, right? And also have a one unique voice when they are engaging the World Bank and the IMF. So basically, that is the purpose. So now we know that Africa as a region, right? We are facing we are currently facing different challenges, right? In terms of growth, in terms of employment, human capital development, right? And we are facing a lot of shocks in terms of external shocks that we are current geopolitical tensions. So it's good to have such a platform in which all African countries will come, right? The governors and the central bank will come.
So Mr. Mbodj, before you engage Lang here, why was Gambia chosen to host such a high-level, event?
Yeah, by default, it's a rotational, right? In each year.
Due to the presidency?
No. It's rotational.
Okay, it's rotational. Okay.
So, this is the first time we are hosting the African caucus since its establishment in 1963. Okay. So it's something that we should be proud of. So Gambia by default is rotational, but also we have an active finance minister, and also because they will not just select a country like that. Though it's rotational, but it will be driven by a certain aspect, the peaceful environment, whether we can host a particular event like this. Because we already host the OIC, it was successful. The AU, we host it. Last year, also we host the ECOWAS, that is the EBIT, that is ECOWAS Development Bank, ECOWAS Institute of Development Banks, in which the Minister of Finance was the chairman of EBIT. So we host that, it was successful, in which also all the finance ministers of West Africa attended. So based on this trajectory and our current development trend and our voice in the development area, development partners, so we assume the leadership with the chairmanship of Honorable Sidi Keita.
Okay.
Let's bring in Mr. Loom.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Mbodj and Mr. Balde. Thank you for having us this morning. On behalf of the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, and on behalf of the Minister himself, I would like to express our appreciation for inviting us to this talk show to speak about the caucus that is happening next week, especially more so on our part about the digital platform. If you look at the African caucus, it's not only an international event, but we think that it is also an opportunity to showcase Gambia, but also to show how far we are going also in terms of digital transformation. And that being the case, that's where the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy was given the role to help in terms of creating the infrastructure for this kind of platform, as well as in the development of this platform. When that happened, one key aspect is that we developed a website, a one-stop information portal regarding everything about the event. My colleague mentioned the different dignitaries that are attending the event and the high-level profile that are coming into the Gambia next week. For us to really manage their communication, their registrations, and logistics, and everything that has to do with the event, definitely we have to think of digital. And we know that digital transformation now is cross-cutting. You have to add it in everything that you're doing to help in efficiency, security, and privacy. Imagine if all of those individuals were registering individually, sending to different people. How is the privacy of their information? And you have very important dignitaries, as well as even the logistic issue, to know who is coming, when they are coming, when they are leaving, what time we need to pick them. So it's a lot. And so far, I think we've registered more than almost close to 300 international delegates.
Yeah, we have, as of yesterday evening, we received 322 delegates who registered. Out of the 222, you have 24 Gambians already. That means that we have 298 registered coming from outside.
So imagine that number if they have.
That is as of yesterday.
Yeah, the registration using email or different channels.
Okay.
So we thought we need to have.
So those are the ones that registered online.
Online, yeah.
So far.
Yeah, so far. But we needed one-stop trusted platform that can bring all this information together and really present it to the logistics team to make the event a success. So on the platform that we built, it has registration of delegates. It also have access to conference information. You could view all the different agenda for the meeting. But also, you know, a special agenda was created to give them an experience to go out of the country, out of the, to experience the Kunta Kinte Island, and a whole lot of information that is there. Also about travel and accommodation, because most of them will be interested in this, and as well as to learn about the venue, the Gambia itself. We link with other websites that provide content about the Gambia tourism and so on and so forth. So, yes, sir.
So this is an opportunity really to showcase how far we have come in digital transformation.
Absolutely.
To show them what we can do.
Yes.
Granted.
Yes.
So you have this massive gathering. What are you going to talk about specifically? I know that earlier on you said generally about issues.
Yes.
What does that mean? Specifically, what are you going to talk about
So
now?
The theme for the 2026 African Caucus is transforming Africa's economies, right, through investment, innovation, and inclusion, with a focus on unlocking financing to drive Africa's structural transformation for inclusive growth, leverage on Africa's natural resources, endowment for quality jobs, and inclusive growth. So basically this year, the theme, the main theme is about the investment part, innovation, and inclusion of Africa, because it's very key, because these are key areas that we believe that Africa can improve on in terms of our investment, in terms of our innovation and inclusion, because currently Africa, we are facing a lot of challenges, right? Though we have, you may say that human capital development, right? We are improving on that, right? We are improving on that. But we have a youthful population, but are we utilizing all of them, right? And we are facing a lot of challenges, because currently the external stocks is pushing Africa, because we have a financing gap of around 1.3 billion, 3 million, right? $3 trillion, right? 1.3 $3 trillion from the recent African Development Bank report, the annual report that they prepare. So now coming up with this theme in which you discuss with private sector on investment, because one thing is we need the financing, domestic resource mobilization in Africa, because we cannot also continue to rely on external aids, because in 2026 currently, since let me say 2025, you see a lot of gaps in financial aid, right? US aid being rationalized, Africa facing challenges because all the development partners also are stretched, because their main source of funding, right? They are trying to tailor it now, right? So this is affecting Africa as a whole. Now, how can we solve that problem? So investment is one thing. That is by leveraging on the private sector. That's why in this 2026 African Caucus, there are panel discussions in which you will have private sectors. Like, for example, we have the Tough Global will be, because when you talk about inclusiveness, innovation, investment, then the Africa Free Trade will come in, right? And you have, now you are converging all African finance ministers who are key in this, and other ministers. So talking about the investment opportunities that Africans can benefit from each other, because now we should not also limit ourselves in transporting or exporting only primary goods. Let us think about how can we leverage with the current technology. So that's where innovation chips, because if we leverage in current technology, since we are abundant with natural resources, with those technologies, it will help us in our investment, and that is basically innovation. So inclusion which is also key because there is a specific day that is allocated for that, a team, sorry, allocated for that. That will be the last day of the COCOS, in which there will be discussion on financial inclusions.
Okay.
In fact, in the Gambia currently, you realize that under the recent fintech, the survey that was done by the Central Bank of the Gambia, you realize 80% of Gambians now are using mobile money and those things. And we have the Q money as well, right?
Yes.
Brave also is doing the APS and others. So there is a session about inclusion, because if you do not include people in the financial system, you tend to lose a lot of revenues at the end of the day, because informal sector tend to dominate. So having inclusion, talking about inclusion and other areas of development is very key, because we are facing challenges in Africa, and our challenges are a bit huge, but with having the people from academician, the central bank governors and other ministers to come discuss, have a diagnostic studies on our problems. Now bringing solutions, recommendation is very key. So basically that is about the COCOS, and financing is key drivers of structural transformation, and Africa trying to leverage on domestic resource mobilization.
So how prepared are we? How prepared are we for this event?
Yeah, so the preparation is on high gear, very because now we have just few days to the COCOS, and when we assumed the chairmanship from Central African Republic, the first thing that we did as a government is trying to establish a steering committee for the African COCOS. So this is not just because the Minister of Finance is the chairman of the African COCOS, but this is beyond the Ministry of Finance. This is a government thing. It's a government program, right? And all pillars of governments are involved. Like he highlighted, DPS highlighted, MOGDE, they are part of the steering committee. And again, let me highlight this fact. This is a joint event also, because this is a joint partnership, because the Central Bank also, they are part of it. And also you have also the Gambia Revenue Authority, GRA, and Central Bank, they are playing a key role in the African COCOS. So you have different players from the government, the security, the private sector, all of them are
involved.
Yeah. So in terms of preparation, currently it is on high gear, because now we are today even, in fact, we will have the president of the African Development Bank coming in the evening. He will be coming for the COCOS, and also we have other guests coming. So in terms of preparation, when QCell, for example, in terms of the branding of the African COCOS, you realize that we have a lot of banners, billboards around the areas, and also TV shows coming. The Q and GRTS also there on the Good Morning Gambia show also is going on. So the preparation is high here. The local organizing committee and the secretary and the steering committee are doing all our level best to make sure this event is successful. Yeah. And currently even the IMF and the World Bank technical team are around to assist, because it's a joint program. It's not Gambia's alone. It is for Africa. So the IMF and the World Bank technical team already are are around to help to assist each other to make sure we have the best African COCOS in history. So the preparation is on high gear.
All right. Yeah. So beyond the event, beyond this event, we've exhausted the time already. But beyond this event, what can Gambians expect from this organization?
Well, in terms of digitalization, I think one thing we can expect is to promote Gambian culture, to promote, like you mentioned, investment opportunities in the Gambia, and also to showcase that the Gambia has the capacity to host major international events. And for us, this is where we are putting all our effort, so that we can demonstrate that also the use of technology, how important it is in hosting such kind of event. I just want to explain that the portal is just one of the many government digital transformation agenda. At the level of the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, we're working in different areas, such as supporting e-government, the digital infrastructure, making it available as well. Because when these delegates are here, they expect to be on the internet, they expect to enjoy facilities. So we have to create that environment so that technology and innovation can strive. So in closing, here I just want to invite everyone to really visit the website and have a feel of it. It's very modern and very authentic one. It's www.africancocos2026.org.
Okay.
Yes, and also there's a local registration platform for those who want to register locally. You just do /local registration, local dash registration.
Local register. Yes, you want to say
Yeah,
something quickly?
so quickly, that is that question beyond the event. What local, what we are expecting Gambians. First, during the African caucus, also there will be cultural events that will happen. So we will showcase our culture, right, from the airport to the event day, that is the opening ceremony, which will, with the president will be attending, and also there will be exhibitions. All right, Juru Gaipa, Minister of Trade and GCCI, we have a committee on that.
They'll be on the ground.
They'll be on the ground to showcase the Gambia.
Okay.
Right. So that is something that is very key. Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
On drive time, we'll probably have one of you, and then we'll go into the detail.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
You know, the devil is always in the details.
Yes, thank you.
I mean, you can catch them up on drive time. Is it today?
Today,
Yes,
we'll
that
get
would
one
be-
of the
that would be
we'll
5.
have
Is
the
it
senior
Mr.
economy.
Boyd 5?
5 o'clock on Q
5
Radio.
Okay,
yes.
We'll
fine.
delve into this.
So viewers, we'll take a short break, and after the break, we'll continue. We'll be back. So now let's move on. National Career Fest. I mean, Fest, yes, rather. We have Yasin Sanya.
Sanya, yes.
Okay. Is it Sanya?
It's Sanya.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Director Education Support and Workforce Development.
Yes.
And Aissatou Cisse, intern at TED Fund, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's good to have you here, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, so let's start with what is this thing all about? Please, can you outline?
National Career Fest.
Yes. So the inaugural National Career Fest, this is the first year we're doing it, under the theme Becoming, from Education to Limitless Opportunities. So it's a national platform to provide Gambian youth with the support that they need, to connect them with self-discovery, skills and education, and how to apply that into employment pathways, into career growth, into understanding what they need for innovation, for entrepreneurship as well too, all under one space, including skills development.
So what are you telling me? You're trying to help Gambian youth to discover themselves.
That's just one piece of it.
And how are you going to do that?
Yes, so the fest is themed. We know that finding yourself and your career path, it's a journey. It's not just one step.
Sure.
And so the fest has been developed in a way that there's 6 zones that are developed throughout the day, so that students, depending on where you are in your journey, you can identify that zone and focus there. So you start from self-discovery. What are your strengths? What are your interests? And then you move into, okay, now that I've identified those, where does that lead me? What do I study? What are the career options for me? Once you've identified that, you go then into, okay, what are the skills that I need? How do I present myself? That's with your CV, that's with your interviewing, that's with connecting with employment. And then we go into the next phase, which is, okay, what does the future and what do employers need in terms of skills and development, entrepreneurship? And then our last theme there is the zone and the marketplace, where we connect you to actual opportunities. So one person can go through the whole journey, another, depending on where you are, can find where you need to be throughout.
Yes. Aissatou, come
Aissatou,
in.
anything
You
to
are an
add?
intern.
Yes.
That's it.
We understand the Career Fest to be a career development and opportunity-focused event. It is bringing together students, job seekers, entrepreneurs, professions, and institutions in one space. Many students graduate without knowing what to do next, and then some struggle with professional connection, CV, support, or even opportunities that are out there but they don't know. So the Career Fest is something that is it is presenting opportunities so that these participants can grab them. We are hoping that when they leave with clarity, more confidence, and even an elevated experience.
So what opportunities can participants expect?
One of them, job, in internships, entrepreneurship. You will have to pitch in your ideas, and then we would help you in one way or the other. That is to the entrepreneurs that are actually on ground, and then scholarships amongst them. Just so many things. We don't want to give away everything, and then we're hoping that it's going to be something that is exciting. You said it sounds the fest sounds like joy.
So that
Yeah,
was
we
the
want it to be
party
youthful.
of-
We want it to be youthful since it is for the youth. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
So now,
'cause-
what mechanisms are in place, that's it, to get you in touch with students? How big is this? What's the scale?
So we have over 1,300 students who are signed up from this. So we have currently enrolled high school students, currently enrolled university and TVET students, but also graduates from high school and those institutions as well too. We have people who have been job seekers for a few years as well too. And so we have gathered applications through online systems, through working with the different institutions to ensure that we have a variety of students, even from the rural areas, also attending here. And so to make sure that students are attending, but they're going away with concrete resources and evidence that they need to continue the journey. You cannot receive everything you need in one day in a few sessions, but we have a career passport that we are giving them to ensure they're taking notes, jotting down what they need so that the journey continues after today to connect with resources.
That's it. So obviously there's an emphasis on entrepreneurship. You want people to start their own businesses. But I take it also that you work with employers. You know, they need employment.
Exactly.
So how is that going? Working with employers to make sure that it's happening.
And
How is it going?
what type of skills are employers also looking
Looking for, exactly. And so at the TED Fund, we believe that we need to merge those two things. We know that there's a skills to employment mismatch that exists. So we need employers to inform curriculum, we need them to inform skills development. So that's a key part of it. The Career Fest, however, isn't just developed as a let's get you a job right now, because we know that people are still talking about what comes before that. And so a lot of the focus is on developing that pathway before you get to, which is Zone 6, the employment phase there. But we do have on our opportunity board a list of job openings that are available. We have some of the Chamber of Commerce is available. Of course, one of our implementing partners as well too. We're on the grounds there. So we really have that, and it's ongoing work. This is the first time we're doing this. Employers will then be looped into it more. So we're knowing exactly what skills they need. They're being built into the curriculum, and students are starting to align.
Let's get a concrete
Anything else?
example. You're an intern. Give us your journey, your story.
Okay, so before interning at the TED Fund, me and my colleague, we actually didn't know exactly what to do just after completing our studies. So we actually have been applying to places, but they wouldn't hear back from them. It was later that we discovered, well, you guys should have followed up. So after grabbing an internship at the TED Fund at such an engaging moment with this preparation of the Career Fest, it has improved my skills in many different ways, like communication, management, teamwork, and it is something that I'm also wishing that other graduates have the chance to grab.
Okay.
So very well spoken there.
Brilliant addition.
So are
And the
schools
fest,
and universities involved?
yes,
And
they,
how do you engage them?
yes. So we have our public institutions who will have booths there also at the Opportunity Fest. So I mentioned we have some high school students who are involved there, so they can share, they can meet their current students, but also prospective students as well too, because we know it's an important piece there. They'll receive feedback from their current students, but the high school students, high school graduates can also engage with them to learn about the application process, the admission requirements. On the ground, we actually have a team as well that supports with those applications. So if you're ready and interested to apply for a TVET institution or a public institution as well too, they can support you with that application.
But isn't it a pity, really? Students wait until they graduate, then it's like this beginning to get the career counseling.
Yes.
They should have been there very early on,
Exactly.
isn't it? The earlier you catch them, isn't it?
Exactly.
So you're working with, I don't know, schools, curriculum, people at the Department of Education, how to integrate that sort of thing into schools, a more structural change. Are you sort of looking in that direction as well?
Yes, of course. So that's one of the key things we talk about at the TED Fund. But of course, there's other key implementing partners in the ecosystem that do that work. So we look at ourselves at, okay, how do we connect those conversations? How do we join it to also support that in there? Those are conversations that are ongoing, and we hope that with the Career Fest as well too, it makes that journey easier to then implement career counseling into institutions. I'm sure ISTU can share. I, in my own journey, even can share how important it is to have that even from high
Private sector
school.
employers, are they also participating?
So we have their jobs posted on the board. So as I mentioned, we have space constraints as well too. We wanted it to, of course, be extensive in that way, but we have job postings there where students can capture those and then get in touch directly with the employers. Our Opportunity Marketplace has connectors as well too that can connect students to the interns and the jobs that they'll need, the resources as well.
Is it to come in?
Yeah, so about the career counseling, it is something that is very much important. There's a need to merge and know what you're doing in school in the first place. Yeah, and then after that you're gonna have to go out there at a particular pathway to look for a job. So if you don't know exactly what you're looking for, maybe you just study a program, but you don't know the opportunities that are out there, it's going to be hard to secure a job. So career counseling is where comes to play, and this is very much important, and we're looking forward to seeing how students are going to grab this opportunity and then make a change.
So do you also tell them, do you counsel them on how to create the jobs?
Yes, so
instead of searching for it, or how to get it, how to create it?
yes, of course. Zone 5, do you want to talk about Zone 5 or do you want me to? The entrepreneurship.
Yeah, the entrepreneurship, that is where you actually pitch in your ideas, and then you would get help if it's something that is attractive, something that could actually grow into something big.
Yes, because we know not every student wants to be an employee,
right.
But we need people to create more jobs, and that comes through enterprise and innovation. So we have a zone there where students can, we call it an entrepreneurship lab, where they can be coached on, okay, if you want to develop your business, here are the concrete steps that you need. Here are some resources to take away to think about a business plan, for example, your business canvas model. And then we have also pitching areas where you can come in, practice your pitch, and do all of that as well. Yeah.
Yes. So for me, though, I have a slight quibble
Okay.
with this entrepreneurs. Can you really teach them? all our great entrepreneurs,
Yes.
be it Mohamed Jah,
Yes.
Paul, they never studied
Yeah,
that.
they have an
They
innate
just have it.
thing.
So I'm scared that there might be so much pressure for people to become entrepreneurs, whereas they don't have the character. Some people will tell you it's not necessarily about IQ, but your dispositional traits,
Yes.
your character. And so do you sense that, or are you careful, wary of this pressure on people to become entrepreneurs? Then you give them their money, capital, they waste it.
Yes. Yeah. No.
That's a danger.
Great point. And that's why it starts at self-discovery. You're identifying your strengths and your skills right there. And so if you start to understand that, we'll all be like, I would love to work for myself and start my own business. But then I go into that self-discovery, I go into career counseling, and I start to understand what it really means to run a business. And I'll understand that, okay, maybe this isn't for me. I can be an employee. And so that's part of the journey as well too. And what we understand, we have key people who do these kind of labs and workshops that can help students work through. And it's not funneling them into one space, it's helping them discover. You can go to a session and then we want you to go away with clarity, as Isatu said. You'll come in maybe wanting to be an entrepreneur, you'll leave wanting to be a medical scientist or something, maybe. You never know.
Yeah.
So this is like the first Career Fest. What would success look like? How do you measure it?
Yes, for sure. Do you want to start and I can go? Do you want me to go? Yeah, so we have, of course, our key implementing partners, the TED Fund, we didn't mention that, but we are part of the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, but we're also collaborating with multiple ministries and implementing partners as well too. So overall for us, key is the takeaway that students are going with. I want every student who is leaving, as Aissatou said, to go away with clarity on next steps. And that passport they'll have that they're jotting down for them to understand what their journey looks like. Another thing we want also is to understand where the gaps are and how we can support students. So we'll be collecting that information as well too, so that not just in future iterations of the fest, but even with our working partners over the next few months, we can start to develop those programs, connect with people. I know you mentioned what skills are employers looking at, what opportunities do students need. If we're able to, when we collect all that information, we'll be looking at how we can implement that.
That is why we encourage them to navigate as many boats as they can, and also to engage in conversations, interact with them, ask questions, okay, seek clarity for your next step. Yeah.
Well,
And we want them to have fun. As you said, it's a fest.
I've seen situations where people study different thing and doing another thing. You understand?
I'm an example of
At
that.
some point, I should have been a medical doctor, but I'm here doing a journalistic work now.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So you can see career guidance is very significant in the life, especially our young people. You know, sometimes you can find very fine talent in certain people. All they need is a little push,
Right.
and they will definitely discover themselves. So what
Exactly.
advice do you have finally for young people that are aspiring to pursue careers?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you want to start? Let them
Both
hear
of you.
from the young first.
Both of you.
Or let them hear from the young
Yes,
last.
let's hear from you.
Okay, first, I would encourage them to attend the Career Fest, because that is, I would say, it's a beginning point. This is where we are laying the foundation for everything they would like to know, for every counseling that they would need and opportunities that they would like to grab. So that would be my advice. If I would advise anybody, I would tell you, okay, attend this Career Fest. It would make a change, hopefully. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And to piggyback off of your point of pivoting, we want it to feel organic and easy. We know that life is a long journey. It's okay to change. You study one thing, you start a career, you can always switch and change.
Yeah.
We don't want people to feel stifled or put into a box. And so my advice to people is keep discovering yourself, keep exploring your needs and changes. We all evolve and change throughout life, and so it's okay to go through those seasons as well too. But most importantly, connect with people, connect with the opportunities that exist. We're all sat here because of support that we've received along the way, the education we have as well too. And so it's just keeping that in mind and understanding that we're all contributing towards inclusive and prosperous national development for the Gambia. And so with that in mind, everybody can have the life that they want for themselves.
Especially the flexibility.
Yes.
You may study one thing in university,
Yeah.
have a different career. So
Yeah,
you're going to
yeah.
have this sort of versatile
Exactly.
kind of skills, transferable stuff.
Ex-
Then
Exactly.
the world is your oyster.
So what about the
Yeah.
career fest? I mean,
How long would it be?
how long?
The
and-
duration?
And is there a location or
Stuff like that.
how do you access it?
Yes, for sure.
Mhm.
Do you
Yeah,
want to-
so the first thing that was done was a registration, and that is now closed. The Career Fest would be taking place at GCCI Trade Fair
Ground.
yeah, and it's starting at 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
When? Is it on now?
Saturday.
On Saturday.
On Saturday,
Okay.
4th July.
4th of July.
Yes.
Ooh, it's like that.
A one day.
Yes,
Yes.
a one-day event.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you're already asking for a week-long event, are you
Yeah.
not? This is our first time.
Yes.
We'll get there eventually. Yeah. So we'll start
Absolutely.
with the opening ceremony in the morning. So that will go from 9 to noon, and then the sessions will start
Okay.
After that, and
All right.
students can
How-
be
how
there
resonant.
all day.
kids, come and get your independence, celebrating
Yes.
with the U.S.
Yeah.
4th of July.
We created our own story at 4th of July.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So thank you
Fantastic.
very much, ladies, for coming, and I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having
Thank
us.
you.
Yeah. So, Mr. Mboch, this
Yes.
is all we have for today.
Yep. Until next week.
Until when I see you.
When is that?
See you when we
I
see
see
you.
you. All right.
You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
Yeah. So viewers, this is all we have, and until then, bye bye.